Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Blitz Live, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and S&S Discount Tire. Brett Pritchard, Luke Robinson here with you till 9 o'clock. College football is upon us. July is basically over. It's hard to believe that just in a few weeks it will be time for kickoff. And it just seemed like yesterday that Alabama and Clemson played in that national championship game. I mean, seriously, it just feels like that only happened a couple months ago.
This summer did go by more quickly than other summers to me.
Maybe it's because we're old?
No, I think it's because it was so hot.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, maybe usually if it's so
I don't know
hot,
what that
it goes by slower
than
that. But anyway, I don't really know either. But it did go by fast to me and to you. SEC Media Days moved up a couple of weeks. It seems like it keeps inching closer to.
Well, the SEC wants to be first. Okay, the SEC wants to usher in everything, and it does feel like all the other media days are sort of secondhand, doesn't it?
I don't ever hear anything about them. I mean, that's the thing.
The Big 12 had all their mascots come in. I saw the cowboy for Oklahoma State was giving this weirdo press conference.
It needs to shave.
Yeah, and it was, they do all these things, and the SEC was tame this year for the most part, outside of.
It's been kind of been tame last couple of years.
Well, but it has a history of subpoenas so coaches can't come down, and then Steve Spurrier being there forever. He always had some interesting quips. But the Big 12 announced something just a few minutes ago, really, or not long ago, and they said we are looking at expansion for 2017 now.
Sure.
Which goes kind of against where they've been. We're the toughest conference because we play everybody. We play a round robin, and really they figured out, okay, this isn't the way to go. And I don't know where they expand, though, Brett. Unless you start breaking up the conferences again, you can't really go Houston to me. I mean, you can, but it doesn't capture a lot of market share, I guess. You may regain some of that because the SEC has crept into Texas pretty good.
It has, and of course Texas A&M being where they are and what they've been able to do. I know they've hit some kind of ugly years here the last couple of years with Kevin Sumlin been on the hot seat, but the expansion of the stadium, Johnny Manziel, the popularity that they garnered. We're gonna hold off on continuing with our SEC talk. Josh Bean is up now, Luke, and I'll let you take over with Josh. So we'll go to the phone lines and welcome Josh Bean in here to the program. Josh, thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, glad to be with you guys. A little better late than never, right?
That's okay. We were just yammering on. Can't stop us from talking, Josh. Hey, buddy, thanks so much for being with us. First of all, usually when you come on, we obviously want to talk about an article that you've written, but I got to talk a little bit with you about the article that just came out about the relationship between parents and coaches and some of the interactions that coaches described with the parents. I was flabbergasted about how poorly some of these coaches have been treated in the past. Did that article stun you?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Beaudry, our own Paul Beaudry, has been working on this project for a number of weeks, and first he asked coaches to fill out a survey, and then he went back to a number of those for folks who have seen it on AL.com today, and got some more personalized accounts from them, and it really is amazing. From parents who threaten to do bodily harm to coaches, to parents trying to get coaches fired, to coaches come in. I mean, parents come in a locker room after a game, immediately after a game. I mean, there really are some amazing tales in that. And Paul did I thought Paul did a fantastic job of presenting it in a way that was easy for the reader to get to, and also sort of presented that sort of the darker side of what high school coaches go through. And yeah, we have reported pretty extensively on high school football coaches that make more than $100,000, and there are some coaches that do make a lot of money in our state. But the great majority of them are coaching for pretty small stipends, and so when you see the sort of things that they deal with on a pretty regular basis, it certainly is eye-opening, I think.
Yeah, that's what bugged me so much about it is I think for the most part, anybody who played sports remembers coaches pretty fondly. And I hate it that some of the coaches are getting disenchanted with being in the profession because, number one, they have to deal with probably not great pay usually, grueling hours, they're outside, they got to deal with a lot of kids and usually face off against things like Twitter and social media, and now they got to deal with the parents too. It just seems like they've got a lot on their plate.
Yeah, and I think that any of us who have been to a Little League game in the last 20 years have seen that parent. But, you know, I think we like to feel like by the time kids get to high school that doesn't happen anymore. But certainly it does. You know, I always think of, you know, probably 10 or 12 years ago, I was talking to Wimp Sanderson about something one time, and just in the middle of the conversation, you know, he said, I never forget this, he said, not everybody thinks they can be a brain surgeon, but everybody thinks they can coach. And so I do think there's that feeling out there that you know, lots of parents feel like that. But I think sometimes we forget, you know, high school coaches, I mean, that's what they do. That's their profession. And well, I think we all like the Monday morning quarterback a little bit, but some of those stories that Paul was able to get from coaches, I thought were truly amazing.
A 7-on-7 tournament in Hoover this past week, and there was a lot of talent on display. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I mean, I realize that this is not real football, that nobody's getting tackled to the ground. We don't have linemen out there, you know, there's not 11 on 11, but you know, you can extrapolate some stuff. Let's look at a year ago when McGill-Tulane played so well in 7-on-7, and that translated. You know, they ended up winning the 7A championship. So I think that the big question for McGill coming into this year was, okay, what do they do at quarterback? Because Paris Chambers played so well last year, and we saw that in the championship game, how much he grew up as the year went along. You know, we knew from the spring that they were going to go with Bubba Thompson, who is a very highly regarded baseball prospect. But I got to tell you guys, he looked fantastic in the 7-on-7 tournament over the weekend. I expect them to be really good again. We saw Hoover, particularly defensively, you could see their speed and athleticism on that side of the ball. I think they're going to be really good. And I was really impressed with Park Crossing. That's a team with a lot of athletes. You know, sometimes you go to 7-on-7, and occasionally, you know, you see some guys playing both ways. Well, they don't. They got a really good wide receiver group. It was held when Jackson Tate from Edgewood Academy transferred to Park Crossing, and they got a bunch of really quick, fast, aggressive DBs. So Malik Cunningham, their quarterback, looked really good. I think they're going to be a true contender in 6A. 6A is really deep. You know, Spanish Fort looked good, but I was really impressed with Park Crossing too.
Well, Josh, can't wait to have you on many times for the AHSA Scoreboard Show starting on August 19th. Really looking forward to it, buddy.
Always appreciate the time, guys. Thanks for having me on.
That was Josh Bean with AL.com. Does a fabulous job with AL.com and always keeps us up to date. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Blitz Live.